Hello, this is Ali, and welcome to my first speed draw video. This is a new series where I will be discussing the progress and reasoning behind each piece, and then I show the results at the end. But first, I'll give a little introduction of myself. So some people call me Ali, most people actually. Some people decide to call me Liz, Intru, based off of my username. To start off, if you can't already tell, I am an artist who mainly works with characters and illustrates stories. A lot of the stories reflect who I am. I am Mexican and Colombian. Not only do my stories deal with what every character deals with, such as relationship struggles or familial struggles and whatnot, it's largely based off of my upbringing, the culture I was raised with, and the culture that I am still continuing to learn about today and onward. As I've implied earlier, my characters' stories always deal with the conflict of relationships and what events that are caused by being in those relationships, or the events that happen around them that affect these relationships. My stories also reflect things that I am interested in, such as the nostalgia of the past. I think it's interesting how a lot of characters are suffering to some degree because of some type of nostalgia that they are either feeling or not realizing that they are experiencing. And this does not only apply to nostalgia of missing like a certain place that you've been to, or the feeling you would have as a child. The nostalgia also refers to missing a past that you were never a part of, such as, for example, music picking up a genre that was created in the 90s and celebrated in the 90s and are trying to quote-unquote recreate that type of genre in modern times. There are certain worlds and settings that are explicitly about this, and it passes down to my characters on how they reflect their interactions with the environment and how those interactions make up who they are. And I will get into a little bit of who I am painting today and what mediums I'm using and whatnot. But back to what I mainly work with. I am both a digital and traditional artist. I work with inks, markers, graphite, sometimes charcoal, and then with digital programs, my main digital program that I'm using is Procreate. I still deep down am a Paint Tool Sai fan, but I've used other programs like Clip Studio Paint and recently started using Photoshop. So yeah, I am also a SCAD student. I am currently a junior. I'm going in for illustration with a minor in business. So yeah, if you know me, holla, yeah. So first I will be talking about the process that goes behind what I am drawing here today. The materials I used for this are Dr. P.H. Martin's Black Star Waterproof India ink, Bombay Turquoise India ink. I also used a Zebra brush pen, a art creation sketchbook, which is like 11 by 8 or so. And honestly, just random brushes that I could find and mixed with water. So for this speed draw, I mainly focused on negative space instead of positive space, or at least tried to. This character relies on the use of negative space over positive space in illustration, This was a bit challenging to do because I'm sure every artist focuses on the positive space when putting lines down and shapes, and trying to think about how I can make an interesting negative space instead is something that I want to challenge myself more, because not only does it create an interesting composition and allow for more freedom of interpretation, it just brings more of that ability to see where my marks can be wrong, I guess. It's kind of just being able to know and become more conscious of how I want my lines to be represented and reflect in my art. I usually like to fill out the spaces in my sketchbooks. It bothers me when I leave them empty, which is a major bad habit of mine. And the reason why I have so many sketchbooks in the first place is I never completed a lot of them growing up. So I've been really trying to push myself to complete and fill every single page of this sketchbook to the brim, and hopefully make a digital downloadable file later down the road when I can, but no promises, but also keep an eye out, guaranteed. Anyways, for the rest of the sketchbook spread, I dropped blue ink and kept working from the center of the spill into the rest of the page. I mainly tried to keep it like almost like a unified one line by breaking the rules a little bit. What mainly helped me continue to have more confident lines is to not use my wrist, but rather use my shoulder and arm in the direction, because it allows for a greater range of reach. So I guess you could say steady. It gets steady over time the more you practice this technique, because it actually helps you be able to place down lines that are in the direction that you want them to go. And think of it where you use your arm and shoulder for the big elements of a piece you're working on, and then you use your wrist for the smaller details that you place down. So the character I am illustrating today is Cinny. He is a 50-year-old man who is, in the modern sense, a Grim Reaper. I made him when I was 11. Obviously, Cinny is not his real name. Cinny came from his Grim Reaper name, El Hombre Sinestro, which translates to the Sinister Man. I'm still debating whether or not to change that name because I made it again when I was 11. But one of my dearest friends gave him the nickname Cinny, and that stuck with me. His real name is actually Eric. Cinny is Mexican. The story that he is in is mainly horror-based, as well as creeping into the supernatural genre. So Cinny is a Grim Reaper in the sense that he works for an organization called the Grim Reapers. He is the son of the leader of the organization, and basically he is this man who is trapped in a situation, has been trapped in a situation ever since he was pretty much born into the family, where he has no way of opting out of becoming a Grim Reaper. And his story is based in how he meets this man, the second protagonist, Samuel, and they both form a type of relationship that benefits one and the other in ways that spiral into a series of events that risk the Grim Reaper organization. So in the drawing, there is a ghost hand that is holding on to Cinny, and Cinny is closely linked to the supernatural. A lot of the encounters he's had growing up with the supernatural is largely based on Mexican folklore, especially La Llorona. Not only there is a big difference between Cine and the other Grim Reapers when it comes to their encounters with the supernatural, with Cine, it's also tied to the Mexican urban legends that have been told to us when we were little kids, and mainly just used as pretty much caution tales instead of actually things that exist. But we can't help but just have that in the back of our minds because they're instilled by our nanas and whatnot, and even lurk in our nightmares. And usually I have a different feeling when it comes to thinking about ghosts in general or ghosts being around me compared to when I think of how La Llorona appeared in my dreams 3 times in the same exact way growing up. It's something that's always made me feel unsafe. So it's just something that's like I want to be able to give to Cine as well, because I'm sure that any other Latino knows what I'm talking about when it comes to these tales being told to you. And it's just kind of something that's just like, I guess I shouldn't do that in the first place. Like, I shouldn't, like, go walking, like, near the river, or, like, it's just the small things that, like, yes, they're obvious not to do, but you just can't help but, like, even in the safest place you are in, you feel their presence. But at the same time, there's something so comforting about that, to where it's only an experience that is shared amongst the community that you are in, and not a lot of people really feel that way. And as for Cine, that's the case for him, where because he's actually had these real interactions too, it is the emphasis on how isolated this kind of experience feels for me, and I'm sure amongst many other people as well. It's something that I just find interesting. Maybe as a Southwesterner, it's just something that, like, you have to know. Not have to, but you just gotta know, bro. You just gotta know to just avoid that kind of creepy stuff, I don't know. Maybe I sound a little bit crazy when I say I feel a certain energy from something and believe that it's cursed, because I really, it's just, you don't know, you say you don't believe in it, but in the back of your mind you're just like, but I still believe in it. But anyways, Cine means a whole lot to me. I've had him for so long, and the more I add more of myself into his story, the more I feel closer to him, in a sense. Also, he's obsessed with cats. He owns about 15 cats in his home. And yeah, here is the final product. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome to my new channel. And if you want to follow my other social medias, they are in the link below. Thank you so much, and have a good day.